Whether you are a pro athlete or just trying to simply stay in shape, we all want to get the most out of our workouts. For runners specifically, that could mean trying to find that runner's high. But some say the key to a better workout and achieving that runner's high is by actually getting high. Runner's High, how a movement of cannabis-fueled athletes is changing the science of sports, is out today. The author, Josiah Hesse, joins us now. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Josiah.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay.
All right, so this is going to be a fun conversation. Of course, cannabis is still federally banned in the U.S., but attitudes have certainly evolved over the past decade with more and more states legalizing marijuana for recreational and also medicinal use. You've spent extensive time looking at all things cannabis, but let's take a step back for a moment. I'm personally a runner. There is actually a zone you can get into from time to time, a natural high, if you will, that doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's great. Explain to me how you define runner's high.
Well, setting cannabis aside, there is a kind of small window of running at a 70% maximum heart rate for around 30 minutes that we have this reduction in pain and uplift in mood. And this comes to us from our evolutionary reward system, which encourages our species to survive by eating, by procreating, by sleeping. So it's something we're already naturally hardwired to enjoy. And there's a small neurotransmitter that was discovered a number of years ago called anandamide that's actually an endogenous cannabinoid. So it's a type of cannabis that does live in our brains and our bodies and is produced in order to help us enjoy exercise and help us to do it more often.
And you argue in your book, being high while working out gives athletes and everyday Americans an edge. How so?
Well, it often gets lumped in with performance-enhancing drugs like steroids when you talk about it from that perspective. But it does make the experience much more pleasurable from a psychological and from a physical standpoint. And when you enjoy something, you're likely to do it more often and do it a little bit more vigorously. And there's a variety of other aspects. It can aid with sleep. It can be an anti-inflammatory for pain reduction. What I hear so often from athletes that I speak with that use cannabis in their exercise routine is the phrase dialed in, that they get so focused on the experience itself, each step of the foot, throw of the basketball, curl of the weight, that everything around them sort of disappears.
Anecdotally, a lot of people are going to think, well, marijuana slows you down. As you said, it's often considered to be a sleep aid. Many people might think that it's not going to be something that would actually enhance your performance. Would you disagree with that?
I would. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, cannabis has this biphasic effect, which means that in small doses, it'll give you euphoria, energy, a kind of balance, anti-inflammatories. But after you reach a certain point of dosage, it can deliver the exact opposite: anxiety, paranoia, sleepiness, discomfort. And I think so often our misconceptions about cannabis come down to the volume that people are taking. And it wasn't until we had legalized recreational marijuana that we had products that are a little more reliable in terms of dosage. There's a little label on the package that you can see how much THC and how much CBD you're getting.
Many will remember this controversy, that sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson, she was suspended after testing positive for marijuana, taking her out of the Olympic Games. Now, you also explore the world of anti-doping, their agency's policy, as well as other sporting leagues that have started reassessing how they can police cannabis use. What did you discover were the main factors that went into how cannabis was regarded by these organizations?
Well, WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, have three criteria for why something is listed as a banned substance. And that's because it's a performance enhancer on the one hand, or it's harmful to the athlete, or the third, much more nebulous term is it violates the spirit of the sport. I think it really does lean more toward that third designation of it violates the spirit of the sport. And WADA has commented on that specifically, in that cannabis being illegal, federally at least, means that any athlete who uses it is essentially violating the law, and they feel like this would encroach upon their role as role models for children. And I think that's really what it comes down to there isn't really any solid science showing that it's more harmful or anywhere near as harmful as, say, OxyContin. The performance enhancing aspects are very unclear because it's not going to take you beyond your organic limits of your body, beyond your genetic limits in the same way that, say, a steroid would.
But despite these policies in place, you've found that really a high number of pro athletes still use marijuana. How do they get around the rules and regulations?
Well, there's a variety of ways. There's always been ways to get around drug tests, but a lot of athletes will simply abstain. I talk to a lot of endurance athletes, ultramarathon runners, and when they know that they have a race coming up, they'll abstain for a week or two leading up to it. Some of them just accept the fines that come with it. Others, will use it in the off season, but not in their training. But the people that I've spoken with in my book, across the board, the numbers, depending on the sport, anywhere between 50 to 80% of professional athletes are using cannabis before, during, or after their training, and in many cases in competition. And where you definitely see people coming out of the cannabis closet on this issue are the retired athletes, who are not only saying that I've been using cannabis for years, and so have so many of my colleagues in this sport, but they're now also endorsing products or starting businesses that are geared towards products.
Certainly new meaning to the idea of runner's high. Author Josiah Hesse, we thank you so much for your time and insight tonight. Runner's High, How a Movement of Cannabis-Fueled Athletes is Changing the Science of Sports, is out today.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.